An ex-AEW star shoots on Britt Baker, AEW's Tickets Struggle, the truth behind a WWE change, and my review of AEW Dynamite. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Britt Baker, the first breakout women's wrestler in AEW, hasn't had the smoothest return from injury. After being out for over 9 months, she came back at June's Forbidden Door pay-per-view, setting up a match for Mercedes Mone's TBS title at AEW's biggest show of the year, All In, and got legitimately suspended several weeks later for a reported backstage altercation with MJF and his girlfriend Alicia Atout. While MJF has said the situation was massively overblown in the wrestling news media, the fact remains AEW's disciplinary panel saw it fit to suspend Baker for a week. Then, on Sunday's All In show, Baker and Mone's match was the weakest on the card. A lot of this was due to the placement, coming 4 hours into the wrestling and after the crowd had tired themselves out with the MJF Ospreay match and the Casino Gauntlet. But former AEW star Mark Henry, whose contract with them expired back in May, has blamed the match on Baker during an appearance on Busted Open Radio. I'm used to seeing Mercedes work a certain way, and she didn't work like that, and I don't think that was because of her. Also, there were times they did a couple of things over again because it didn't get done right the first time, and a lot of that was the fact that the position that Britt was in was wrong. Henry also accused Baker of sandbagging, where you block an opponent's move by deadweighting them when you're not meant to during the backbreaker off the rope spot. Baker had previously accused Thunder Rosa of sandbagging her. It would take for both people to be on the same page and work together for the greater good of the match, not the greater good of the individual. I don't want this person to shine over me. I don't want them to look good at my expense. I'm a pillar. That's a work. You're just the first woman hired. Get your ass out there and work for the person like your life depended on it. In her newsletter, Mercedes declined to criticize Baker, but did admit to not being happy with the match, acknowledging the mixed reactions and how she sensed some audience fatigue due to the placement on the card. She noted how she would have done a lot of things differently though, and that she should have listened to her instincts. Following the huge success of selling 50,000 tickets for England's All In though, AEW has come crashing down to the reality of domestic ticket sales. WrestleTix is reporting that before the show, last night's episode of Dynamite was set to host fewer than 2,000 fans in Illinois State Farm Center that can hold 16,500 people. They add that next week's Dynamite only has 3,000 tickets sold, and next Friday's Collision has shifted under 2,000 tickets. So far, just over 6,000 tickets have been distributed for September 7th's All Out pay-per-view, which is only 10 days away, a 30% drop on the 9,000 plus figures sold in 2022 and 2023. WWE have now confirmed their commentary teams will be changing from September, with Michael Cole and Corey Graves hosting SmackDown from its debut on the USA Network on the 13th, and Wade Barrett being joined by new play-by-play lead Joe Tessitore on Raw from the 2nd. This means Corey, who moved into the lead commentator role on SmackDown back in February, is being moved back to a color commentary position. PW Torch is reporting that this isn't anything to do with Corey's performance, but that WWE's new head of production, Lee Fitting, is a longtime friend and big proponent of Tessitore, and has been working to get him hired for play-by-play since he joined the company at the start of this year. Now here's a message from everyone's favorite 80s wrestler, Turbo Jack. You're just as good as MJF, Turbo Jack. WrestleTalk ain't gonna replace you. You're still relevant. Turbo Jack's still... Hey there! I'm 80s wrestler Turbo Jack. Cowabunga, dudes! And WrestleTalk paid me to give a special shout out to their top tier patrons. Go to patreon.com/WrestleTalk now to support them. Get your own shout out and loads of exclusive extras like extra survival series from $2 a month. So thank you. The Magic Man, Barry Blade. The Balding Brummy, Brett Linforth. Big Jiggy, Josh Martin. The Pin, Echo of Success, Luke Kelly. Abominable, Michael Abbott. King of the Conquest, Stephen Molnix. Well, there's a Will Campbell. The Machine Gun, Alex Anderson. The Roller Coaster, Robert Acosta. And Hitman Malcolm. Please make Turbo Jack relevant again. Go to patreon.com/WrestleTalk now. Now it's time for my review of AEW Dynamite in about 5 minutes. The show started with a bang because as soon as Excalibur was done running down the card, we got the surprise return of Pac. I'm really confused about who's in the Blackpool Combat Club right now. Jon Moxley entered through the crowd and spoke to Tony Schiavone in the ring where... He was weird. He said he's been doing a lot of thinking in the last 2 months since we last saw him, called out Darby Allin, and then told Schiavone that this isn't his company anymore. Wrong Tony, John. Also, Shane McMahon by an AEW storyline confirmed. Later on, Marina Shafir beat up a few production hands backstage for Moxley, putting them together as an act. This was all very strange. Our first match, though, saw Hangman Page and Tomohiro Ishii do what they do best: beat the ever-loving piss out of people. This was almost like a non-stop forearm strike exchange, the only respite being both men getting dropped on their necks. Like B-Boy Ishii busting out his new breakdance move on the apron off a DDT, and Page landing horribly on his shoulder off an Ishii Deadeye. Hangman hit a Deadeye of his own, though, followed up by a buckshot to win. But we've only got 10 days until the next pay-per-view, so we better get these angles going. After Hangman's distraction in the All In main event, Swerve Strickland came down to get in his face, where he said he felt sorry for Page, that his obsession with Strickland is costing him everything, and Swerve's now obligatory reference to your opponent's wife and child. Hangman screamed at him for breaking into his home, fair, and that Swerve had needed help to beat him every time. He's never beaten Hangman clean. So Strickland offered a stipulation that always definitively stops interference: a steel cage match at All Out. Rather than a bloody brawl like they usually do, Hangman just stormed off instead. Jamie Hayter then squashed Harley Cameron in her return match, all while staring a hole in Saraya. She looked great. MJF came down now just in a grey suit and black shirt and scarf, the monochromatic opposite of the over-the-top colours of his Mr. America gimmick, but it was the strips of physio tape just visibly above the scarf around his neck that were most telling. He has been seriously injured by Will Ospreay's Tiger Driver finish. Max renounced his American citizenship because they didn't help him for his All In defense, and he says Will cheated by having Daniel Garcia interfere, which prompted a surprise attack from Pac. Jon Moxley. I mean Daniel Garcia. Garcia is no moral babyface, though. He went for a pile driver off the second rope to fully break Max's injured neck. Security stopped him just in time. It was announced they'll fight at All Out, and Garcia invented a new kind of mic drop: the mic throw, where he lobbed it up the ramp from the ring, hitting Max in the shoulder. With Max's neck injury, this is perfectly built for Garcia to get a huge win over him. I might not have gotten my 6-man fun this week, but I'll settle for 8-man mania instead, especially when Tony Khan told me to trust him that it's gonna rock. And when has Tony ever abused my trust by overpromising before? Next week in Winnipeg, a Hall of Fame worthy signing. A must-see announcement. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It saw Hook and the conglomeration take on Roderick Strong and the Learning Tree. Just when I thought Hook was out of the Jericho vortex, they pulled him back in. Big Bill got a hot tag on the heel side, but the crowd was pretty bad all night and didn't really react. And then the finish was Hook making Strong tap in the Red Rum, but Strong's tiny boot was clearly on the ropes. The Undisputed Kingdom then beat up Hook after, seemingly setting up a feud for that joke of an FTW belt. This finish was bad. Mercedes Mone presumably dusted off a backstage segment idea from 2019 WWE, where she had an awkward, lifeless title celebration where there was no music or background chatter. Private Party tried to hit on her, so Okada taught her how to say bye bitch in Japanese. You know how it's the job of the agents to make sure wrestlers aren't using the same important spots on the same card? The next segment was also a women's title celebration. Mariah May told Tony Schiavone, however, that her one will be postponed because your local town sucks. It built to her revealing her revealing outfit underneath her robe while wearing the women's belt. We then got a backstage clip from All In where the grizzled young veterans told the Young Bucks they're coming for the tag titles, and then there was a second promo filmed today that sounded exactly the same, setting up their match against the Outrunners on Rampage, meaning James Drake said, "Grit your teeth twice in about 30 seconds. There was a recap package of Takeshita in the G1. He'll be returning on Rampage 2. Then Ricochet got his Dynamite debut taking on Carl Fletcher. Ricochet hit some fun spots like a springboard off the barricade into a roll-through suck-it taunt at the camera, but I must admit I was more into Fletcher here. Ricochet won with his old finisher, the Vertigo. I thought the post-match angle, however, was awesome. Will Ospreay walked out onto the stage, teasing the two wrestlers who made each other's names interacting, but Pac hit a poison rana from out of nowhere on Ospreay and started screaming, "Don't forget about the bastard," as they've got a match at All Out and that Ricochet can get to the back of the line. And the final segment saw Bryan Danielson address his future after winning the world title and not retiring. He called All In his career favourite moment, even choking up a bit, but acknowledged he needs neck surgery soon and he's got to go home. But not yet! Screw you, Birdie! He'll be a fighting champion, but when he loses the title, his full-time career will be over, setting up a super dramatic every match is a retirement match run. He issued an open challenge for All Out, which was answered by the TNT champion Jack Perry on the Tron. But it was all a trap, because that was actually a pre-recorded message. For an impromptu open challenge, I think Jack Perry might be Batman if he planned for that, as Perry attacked Danielson from behind. Pre-recorded video message aside, it all makes sense, as Perry beat Darby Allin strong on Sunday. Perry will get loads of heat at the pay-per-view in Chicago. I imagine Swerve vs Hangman will be the main event, and it is only a 10-day build. However, it's not a match I'm particularly excited by. This week's episode of Dynamite is 74%. Now go watch us play Tricky Towers over on our video game channel Control Freaks. Here's a clip.
No!
Yes.
No!
Yes! Yes! Stop sliding! No! 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 I needed that!